Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh, and today we're going to be reviewing the Element Theos rifle scope. I'm going to tell you all the ins and outs about this and what I've experienced over the last 2 months since I have been testing this. I am going to tell you from a shooter's perspective what I think this scope offers as far as advantage, where I think it falls in actual value range of scopes around it, whether the price is going to be worth it or not, and what you can expect if you were going to buy one of these so you're not going into this blind. So first things first, let's talk about some of the key features that I find useful. Now this is a 6x36 34 mil tube, 56 millimeter objective. One of the great things is, like all the other Element scopes, it is completely toolless. So right here on the range, without any Allen keys or anything, you can pop this off, reset your zero, screw this back on, and you are good to go. Now it is an illuminated reticle. Mine is in mil, and it is a push button system on the side here. Side parallax, and overall for a $2,600-ish price point, it is exactly what you would expect. Now, instead of boring you to tears, let's load up some ammunition here for the Voodoo. Let's turn on the scope cam, and we are gonna talk about some things while you are looking at them through the scope cam. All right, so first we're gonna peel this back, and obviously you're seeing this through the camera, so that's going to degrade the image quality. It just is what it is. I'll tell you, the glass is awesome. I mean, it's every bit what you would expect for the price point. I mean, the glass does not disappoint. It is super clear, but we are at 6 there, and then we're gonna peel this all the way in to 36 power, and you are looking at my 100-yard KYL rack. Obviously, we'll go back to about 18 power there, and if we had any sunlight, you'd probably be able to see these bullets in flight, but let's give it a shot anyway, because the glass clarity is good enough that you can see projectiles flying through the air. And you know, that's not limited to this scope, but when you get into high-end scopes, people often wonder why serious competitors are using very high-end glass, and it's because you can see a lot more. There is so much more clarity when you step up in glass, especially once you get out of the $500 or $600 scope price range, that you just start seeing a ton of cool things like projectiles in flight. You start seeing lead dust off targets at several hundred yards, and all those things will help you make better decisions for your next follow-up shot, and ultimately are going to make you a better competitor. So let's see. We're going to dial up to 1.7-ish, and let's see if that's the right deal for this ammo. He seems to be. I'm seeing the dust fly off of that guy. And I'm seeing the bullets fly, even though we have basically no sunlight. Not sure if you guys are able to see that. Ooh, saw that. It was a little right. And man, I need to paint that 1/4 inch. But there we go. Cat's trying to get in the video with me. Come on, cat. Get out of here. Come on. Hey. Hey. Come here. Come on. Don't claw me. Come on. That cat is scared of nothing. I actually like that cat quite a bit. But there you can see what we were working with at 100 yards. I wish you guys could see it like we see it through the scope. These scope cameras just never do this justice. But onto the turrets, like I said, we have a toolless re-zero on both windage and elevation, and if you can hear that, these things are very tactile. Now, beyond just being tactile and having the toolless re-zero, they do have a indicator on the top, a little flipper, and when you pass your first rev of 12 mils, that flipper turns over and it lets you know you're on your second rev. Now, these by design are designed to basically give you 1/2 mil under your zero and about 2 revs on your turret. So in my case, that is going to give me 23.2 mils of travel. So 23 mils that I can dial in this setup based on my 50-yard zero, and that's pretty dang good. Now what I'm going to do is set you up on the 150 yard down there, and if you're looking at that, you can tell it's slightly out of focus, but for being parallaxed at 100 yards and being set at 18 power, that is still pretty dang good. And that's because there's an aperture ring on the front of the sunshade that is reducing the diameter size, and we're gonna pull that off right now on camera without cutting this, and you're gonna see the difference that that makes. So the aperture ring is off. I haven't done anything, haven't touched any of the scope settings, and look how out of focus that is now. And the aperture ring is going to reduce on some light, but when you're working with bright sunny days like this and you want more focal depth, then this aperture ring is a really cool tool that they include for free with this scope, and we'll talk a little bit more about exactly what that can gain you in a competitive sense. Let's put it back on. And we're not going to touch any of the settings here, so we've touched nothing. Back on. And now you can see how much clearer that is, and that is 50 yards difference. So we are parallaxed to 100 and looking at a target at 150 yards, and quite a big difference. So why is that at all important? Well, it's because when you're shooting in competition and you have varying distances to targets, a lot of times what we do is shoot our parallax dirty. We call it dirty because we may have targets at, let's get some in here, we may have a target at 80 yards, and then we may have a target at 100 yards, then we may have a target at 130 yards, and then 150 yards. So what I'm gonna do in that instance is just dial to about 110, and you can see there how much flexibility this is gonna give me. I can see that target, I can see these targets, I can see everything pretty clearly without ever having to touch my parallax. So let's give that a college try, and we're just gonna hold over and we're gonna see if we can shoot these on dirty parallax. All right, so that's about 80 or 90 yards. Let's give them about a mil. Let's go to something a little closer. These are like 70 yards. Let's go to 100. Obviously we're good there, about 1.7. Let's go just beyond that to 120. Actually we'll go 123. Should be a little over 2 mils. And then we're gonna go to 130. That should be about 3 mils. Yep. And let's go to 150. It should be, oh, and we're out of ammo, but that's okay. I had one spare one there, so I guess we ought to make this count. Let's go right to left, about 4 mils. And just barely nick the left edge of it. All right, so now we're gonna take our aperture ring off. And we're gonna parallax for 150 yards. We're gonna just go ahead and dial this elevation to 4 mils. We'll turn it into right at 36 power, max magnification. So let's see, we're just gonna shoot this steel plate here, just in the center of this gap. Actually, there's a little indentation there, we'll do that. Trying to catch some bullet flight. We're gonna back out a little bit here to now 25 power, same distance, same target. We're gonna go down to this guy. Now these guys haven't been shot. Oh, let's not get skunked here. There she goes. All right, so let's talk brass tacks here. Do I think that this is worth the price point? Yes, I think Element has stepped up in a big way. And I think by them going to the 6x36, this price point and this level of scope, they have really cemented themselves into saying, hey, we're not an airgun scope company. We are a rifle scope company. and we just have a history in air guns. And I'm telling you, if you pick this up, this is not going to disappoint. I've had a chance to look at this scope next to Razors, next to Zeiss, next to Night Force, and it does not disappoint. So there are some really awesome features about this, the Toolless Zero, which I love specifically for me because I run a YouTube gun channel and I'm moving scopes around a lot, or I'm changing ammunition, and to be able to just zip this top cap off and make a change right here without having to mess around, that in itself is a really awesome feature. The push button illumination works very well on here. It has really excellent glass. Now, I've shot this on my 223, I've shot this on the Voodoo, I've had it on the Rim-X. I have moved this around and shot this quite a bit. For the 223, I shot it in a sniper DMR match, and it worked really, really well for me there. And it just really doesn't disappoint. Now, this aperture ring, it may seem like a gimmick to you. Hopefully through that video footage, you'll have a little better idea of what this can actually do for you. And if you're interested in all the geeky scientific knowledge on why this works, then Matt Dubber from Element, he actually has a video explaining this. I kind of default by just leaving this on because I want that forgiveness and parallax for shooting competitions. And obviously this is kind of set up on my competition gun. So yeah, all in all, a great scope. I would highly recommend this if you were shopping in that price point. Obviously, there's a lot of scopes for a lot cheaper. I run the track scopes, which are around the $1,600–1,700 price point. And in that price point, I don't think the track can be beaten. And obviously, this is, you know, about $1,000 more retail. We are in a totally different tier of optics here, and I think they did a really good job on this, and I think that this scope is going to serve me well for a really long time. I hope that this has given you a better look on an unbiased review on the Element Theos. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. You are going to see this scope on some of the rifles on the channel for the next however long I own this, but I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next one.